You know, one of my favorite films of all time? It's Blade Runner. And I think my favorite point, for me, the focal point of that whole film, is Rutger Hauer's speech at the end. It's a beautiful speech.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the 10-house gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die.
Is basically he's explaining that, even though he's an android, he's human like everyone else because he experiences mortality and he has these memories that, like most people, will be lost to time. And it's very meaningful and it conveys it very well. Now, let's contrast this with this, some binary data. Both these have information. Yet, for most of us, that scene from Blade Runner will convey its story and its information much better than that binary code I showed you. Why? Well, that's what we'll discuss in DataTroll today. Welcome to DataTroll. Today, we're going to discuss story and specifically ask the question, why does story always seem to come up in data analysis? Now, this is a very interesting question because many people associate data science, data analysis, this kind of thing with, very right-brained kind of hard endeavors, or I mean very, very tangible endeavors such as science, math, statistics, programming. To contrast, story is a very kind of left brain thing, and it's often considered more of an art. So why is story so central and often discussed in terms of data analysis? Well, I think it's because story is really an inherent way and universal way that people understand information. When you want to effectively communicate something, you communicate it through a story. That's what politicians do. That's what educators do. That's what people in religion do. Story, story, story. And I think it's important because basically story allows people to take information, add context, add relevance so they can make sense of it and then find some identity or take some action with it. And it really is no different in data analysis because in this case, we're using story to basically convey our findings. What are our findings? And here are how they are relevant to you, the audience. So, what does a story do? As I've said before, it provides context and relevance, and it provides the right amount of detail. So many people watch movies, and I think movies are a great way to understand how the storytelling can be so impactful to a movie. So we've all probably seen movies with major plot holes. They don't explain things, things don't make sense. That would be an example of leaving out important details, important information. On the other side, we have seen movies that sometimes probably give you too much detail. They dive into information on things that aren't really central to the story arc, and basically end up really slowing down the pace of and the energy of the movie, and people's minds start to wander and they get bored and the story kind of gets lost in the shuffle. So that would be an example of it. So um, again, another important fact is relevance, right? And you can almost think of this as kind of marketing. Like before you're doing all your data analysis, it's very important to ask, what does my audience care about? This is really important. What kind of information do they care about? If we go back to the movie metaphor, you know, um, if I make a well executed, well made, artistic, avant garde film, very abstract, you know, exploring the medium of film, what sound can do, what picture can do, without much of a regular story, as good as it is, most, 8-year-old boys are not going to appreciate that movie. They want to see something different, right? Likewise, if I've got a bunch of very intellectual people who like to study about film and study all about the artistic abstract work of film, and they're expecting to go see that, and I show them Spider-Man, again, they're probably not going to appreciate it. So knowing what kind of information, what kind of story is relevant to your audience is really important. So, um, so a good question there is, what questions are relevant to my stakeholders in data? So, for instance, if I'm trying to answer the question of, I'm providing a organization that says trying to solve hunger issues in Africa, and I give them information about, Josh Groban's fan base, they're not really going to care. That's not relevant. So it's very, what they would care about is maybe, analysis on the price of food in the global market, because that would probably explain how much it would cost to get them for them to get food and give them, and to distribute it. So again, back to the detail part. Again, the details are important. So when you're working with details, if somebody's closer to the data and more knowledgeable about the technical aspects, you can give them more details. So probably, for instance, you're talking to your supervisor, you can get, and you're doing a model, you can probably also give a bit more insight and discuss a bit more of the technical aspects of the model. But let's say that you're doing it for a stakeholder who's not really connected to the modeling process at all, or to, say, somebody higher up in upper management. In that case, you're probably just going to give a very high-level explanation of the findings. So instead of explaining how the model is going, you're saying, here's what we found in maybe one page or a couple of sentences. So to leave you with one final thought, a good way to see that, do I have a compelling story? Have I presented my findings in a compelling story, is to ask yourself, can I explain this in a couple of sentences? Right? Or even one sentence. So for instance, we found that it looks like there's a chance of a poor economy next year, and judging on past historical relationships, we think that poor economy will drive down energy prices. That's a story. That's succinct. So so please let me know if you have any questions or comments. It's always appreciated. And like and subscribe if you like this video. Okay, thank you. Have a good day. Bye.